Welcome back for another Wednesday morning devotional. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to encourage you to hit the like button, hit the share button, and please leave us a comment down below. Now today I have a lot to say and a short time to say it, so let's dive right in. When are things going to get back to normal? When are things going to get back to normal? That is a question I have asked, and that is a question I have been asked countless times over the past few weeks. All of us are ready to get back to life the way that we know it. And I can understand that, I relate to that, but at the same time, I have a confession to make. I hope things never get back to normal. Yes, you heard me correctly. I hope things never get back to normal. My fear is that COVID-19 will come to an end, we will forget that it ever happened, and then we'll just go back to our normal way of living. My hope, on the other hand, is that COVID-19 will come to an end, we will never forget that it happened, and we will be forever changed by it. One thing that God has been showing me, one thing that God has been revealing to me over the past couple of weeks is how much I take what I consider normal for granted. Things like coming together a couple times a week for church services. Things like going out and visiting church members. Things like getting a haircut. Things like going to the gym to work out. Things like running to the store without even thinking about it. Your list probably looks a little bit different, but here's the point. Sadly, we usually do not realize what we have until it is gone, and all of us are guilty of taking God's blessings for granted. I'm reminded of a story in the Bible, in Luke chapter 17. Jesus is traveling to Jerusalem, and on the way he enters into this village and he is met by 10 lepers. 10 people who have leprosy. This was a horrible, horrible disease. And they cry out to Jesus, "Jesus, please have mercy on us." Jesus said, "Go and show yourself to the priest." So they went. And when they were on their way to show themselves to the priest, their leprosy was cleansed. They were healed. This disease, all of a sudden, it just vanished. And that's where I want us to pick up in the story, verse 15. It says this, "Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. And he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. Now he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus answered, 'Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?' And he said to him, 'Rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well.'" So just to clarify, 10 were healed, but only one turned back to give God praise. 10 were healed, but only one turned back, fell at the feet of Jesus, and gave him thanks. I guess it's safe to say the other 9 took this blessing for granted. Here we are thousands of years later, but people really haven't changed all that much. The majority of us, including myself, most of the time we take the blessings of life for granted. Most of the time we are just like the 9. And I think there's several different reasons for this. A lot of times we fail to realize how blessed we are because we're so focused on how blessed someone else is. A lot of times we fail to realize how blessed we are because we're so busy, we never slow down. A lot of times we fail to realize how blessed we are because we're entitled. We don't view it as a blessing, we view it as something that is owed to us. How often do you take your health for granted? How often do you take food on the table for granted? How often do you take your job for granted? How often do you take family members and friends for granted? How often do you take everyday conveniences for granted? I could go on, but you get the point. Most of us went to bed last night with full stomachs in climate-controlled houses. Most of us have vehicles or a means of transportation. Most of us have people in our lives that love and care about us. Most of us have clothes on our back. Most of us don't have to worry about being persecuted for our faith in Jesus Christ. Here's the bottom line. We are spoiled. Whether we realize it or not, all of us are blessed with so much more than we deserve. So no, I hope things never get back to normal. I hope we get through this, and I hope we come out of it with an attitude of gratitude. I hope we come out of this and going forward, we slow down and stop taking everything for granted. I hope when we start gathering back together as a church, we do so with a newfound passion and desire to serve and to worship Jesus. I want to challenge you this week to slow down, to stop and to thank God for the little things. I want to challenge you this week to slow down, to stop, and to thank God for the things that usually go unnoticed. That's all I have for you. Stay safe and have a great week.